On the impact of this closer relationship, we welcome Hugo Cancio, President and CEO of Fuego Enterprises. Hope my Spanish was okay. Live for us in Havana. Thank you and welcome. Look, for a lot of us, we're still kind of learning about what's happening. A lot of this is historic, going back well more than 50 years, and we're doing a little bit of a catch-up here. But explain to us this sharing of embassies, this opening of embassies on both sides. How does that ultimately impact the economy, I suppose, specifically where you are?
Well, not only the economy, it has a great impact on the hearts and minds of the Cuban people. Of 2 million people that deserve a better future, and their future was being on hold because of the diplomatic relationship between my native country, Cuba, and my adopted country, the United States, have not gotten together on the negotiating table and finally come to the conclusion that we all learned today. I think the economic impact is going to be huge for this island nation. I think the next step is to work on lifting the embargo, the inhumane embargo that is being imposed on the Cuban people for over 50 years. I think the Cuban people deserve a better chance. So this is the first step into a new future for Cuba. As a Cuban American, born and raised in Cuba and lived in Miami for 35 years, I think this is a great moment, a historical moment that we all Cubans should cherish and applaud.
Tell us what your business does and how this is likely to benefit you in the long term.
Look, I have a news desk in Cuba. I'm one of the first American company authorized by the Cuban government to operate in this country. I mean, as far as, there's a lot of American companies that want to do business in this country. Look behind me. This is a country that offers a full potential of infinite possibility for businesses. South Florida will benefit tremendously. The cruise ship industry, the telecommunication industry, the tourism industry. This will have a tremendous impact on the economy of both countries.
The embargo, we talked about that earlier. A lot of people, some want to see it be done or taken out. Others want to keep it in place. What do you say to those people?
I think that's the minority. I think the majority of the American people, the polls suggest that they want to see the normalization of the relationship between the United States and Cuba. In my community in Miami, which was the battlefield for many years, the majority of Cuban Americans wants to see the normalization of the relationship between Cuba and the United States. We as Cubans deserve a better future, and for many years, some of us have been trying to build bridges of understanding and reconciliation and lobbying the hallways of Congress for this moment. I think also the investment community, the business community in the United States, is looking at Cuba as a tremendous investment possibilities in the near future. So I ask members of Congress to put politics aside now and focus on what's better for the Cuban people.
Michael Voss earlier shared with us some of the reaction there on the ground, and I'm just curious from your firsthand discussion with the folks there on the ground, has there been any discussion that perhaps which group of individuals, and I mean industries, would likely benefit first, and if so, how long might that take? Are we talking about months, or are we talking about years?
Well, listen, doing business in a communist country in transition, it's a lengthy process. The bureaucracy here is tremendous, but the Cuban government has shown the willingness to move the extra mile, normalizing relationship with the United States. Foreign investment reform, took place a few years back. And I'm confident that things will move a little bit more faster now after reinstating diplomatic relationship. But again, we have an embargo in place, so we have to think about ways to persuade members of Congress to lift the embargo on the Cuban people, and then from there on, we will see some American companies, being able to establish their businesses here. It's all about trust. It's all about understanding. It's building trust. It's been 56 years of hectic relationship between our two governments. So it's going to take some time, but I am sure that we will see some progress in the years in the few months to come and years to come. I know there's a lot of, I mean, I represent quite a few American companies that want to do business in this country. I mean, they have been here, they're shaking hands. You know, the keys here now is to position yourself, to meet people, meet and greet some people, and establish trust between American companies and Cuban entities that will benefit tremendously from doing business with American companies.
All right, a lot of big headlines, a very big day. Hugo, I want to thank you for sharing your optimism about the future of Cuba and U.S. relations. Thank you.